What if the future of electronics had nothing to do with silicon? Somewhere in Germany, a startup is assembling a chip that doesn't push electrons. It guides light. It's built on a material one atom thick, patterned not from sand, but from carbon. They're not just prototyping. They're building a factory to mass produce it. If they succeed, everything we know, AI accelerators, supercomputers, even how data moves inside a chip, could flip almost overnight. Stay with me. By the end of this video, you'll see why light on graphene might be the only path past silicon's wall, and why Germany is racing to industrialize it by 2026, scaling to full output by 2030. For half a century, we've lived inside an invisible miracle. Billions of tiny switches, transistors, etched into wafers thinner than a fingernail, have powered phones, airplanes, hospitals, and the neural engines of modern AI. Moore's law pushed those switches smaller, cheaper, and faster until the cracks began to show. Here's the twist most people miss. The slowdown isn't just about transistors, it's the wiring between them. Inside modern chips, copper interconnects, the microscopic highways carrying ones and zeros, are so narrow that resistance spikes, heat blooms, and your fast signal turns slow. Shrink copper too far, and electrons scatter like cars fishtailing in mud. Imagine a Porsche 911 GT3 RS, powerful, precise, forced onto a rutted mountain trail after heavy rain. The car is still a marvel, the road is the bottleneck. That's copper today. Our chips aren't failing because we forgot how to design. They're colliding with physics. We compensated with more cores, more cache, more packaging tricks. We stacked dies, stitched them with exotic materials, and flooded the gap with power and cooling. But each generation now costs billions more for smaller speedups. If the computation engine is the heart, interconnect is the arterial system, and it's clogged. So what if we change the traffic, not the car? What if, instead of moving electrons through hot, resistive metal, we moved photons, quanta of light, through waveguides? Photons don't carry charge the way electrons do. They don't smash into atoms and heat up as much. They're not shackled by the same resistive losses. In fibers across oceans, light already zips data for the internet. But on a chip, bending, splitting, and controlling photons at nanoscale is a different game. Silicon Photonics took a first swing. It built optical highways around chips and between racks and servers. Progress is real, but as speeds rise and footprints must shrink, Silicon's optical toolbox runs into its own limits. Narrow wavelength windows, higher power to drive modulators, larger device footprints. To go further, we need a material that's thin, fast, tunable, and friendly to light across broad wavelengths. Enter graphene. Graphene is the thinnest material humans have ever used. One atomic layer of carbon atoms arranged in a perfect honeycomb. It's almost invisible, stronger than steel, flexible like a film, and, crucially, its electrons behave as if they have no effective mass. The result? Astounding mobility. Here's the number that matters. Electrons in graphene can reach over 200,000 cm2 per volt second, while typical silicon hovers near a few hundred. That isn't an incremental tweak. It's a different regime of transport. But graphene's magic isn't just electrical, it's optical. By applying a tiny electrical pulse, you can tune how much light graphene absorbs. That makes it a near-perfect optical gate, a way to convert electrical information into modulated light on the fly. And unlike materials that only play well in a narrow infrared band, graphene responds across a huge span, from visible to infrared to terahertz. One atomic layer, many colors, fast control. Translate that into chip design, and a vision emerges. Where today's tangled copper roots would have heated and slowed, tomorrow's graphene-assisted optical fabric would shuttle data as light, cooler, faster, and vastly more parallel. But how do you actually talk to light on a chip? Meet the Mach-Zehnder interferometer, a device whose sci-fi name hides a beautifully simple trick. Picture a beam of light entering a tiny Y-shaped maze. At the fork, the light splits. Each half travels a separate path and then meets again at the exit. If their peaks and troughs line up, they reinforce. Bright output. If one path delays the wave just enough, the beams cancel. Dark output. By applying a voltage to one path, engineers nudge the phase of the light in that arm. The interference at the exit flips between bright and dark. That bright-dark is your 1, 0. That's optical modulation. Electricity in, data encoded on light, out. Silicon can do this, and it has. But at higher speeds and tighter footprints, it demands more drive power and offers less tuning range. Layer graphene over the modulator arm and the story changes. A single atom film can swing absorption and phase quickly, with tiny electrical nudges across wide wavelengths. You get faster switching, smaller devices, and lower energy per bit. Scale this beyond board-to-board optics. Imagine replacing the short copper spans between GPU tiles with on-package waveguides. Imagine die-to-die photonic lanes. Imagine racks whose internal chat is light. This isn't science fiction. It's an engineering roadmap many teams are racing to print. And one team in Germany is betting not just on devices, but on factories. In Aachen, Germany, Black Semiconductor is building Fab 1, a facility designed to manufacture graphene-based optical interconnects at scale. Not lab samples, not demo chips, industrial output. Their goal, start production by 2026 and scale to full volume by 2030. If they hit those marks, Germany won't just publish papers, it will ship the plumbing for a post-silicon era. They're not alone. Destination 2D, a spin-out from UC Santa Barbara, is piecing together the hard recipe steps. How to grow, transfer, and pattern high-quality graphene onto wafers without tearing or contamination, moving from lab-cute to fab-credible. In Canada, NanoExplore pushes dry exfoliation and growth processes that aim for defect-lean, wafer-scale graphene, because a stray impurity at device scale can sink performance across an entire die. And the giants are listening. TSMC, Intel, and Samsung are exploring hybrid metal graphene structures, ways to slip graphene into critical interconnect layers without ripping up their fabs. It's a pragmatic path. Phase in new material where it matters most, prove reliability, and then widen deployment step by step. This is a race, but it's not about the smallest transistor anymore. It's about optical highways, how many lanes you can build, how cleanly you can switch them, and how little energy each bit consumes on the way. And if you can move data with light, can you compute with it too? The same Mach-Zehnder device that gives you ones and zeros hides another gift: analog multiply. If, instead of simple digital pulses, you feed a continuously varying voltage into the phase arm, the output intensity becomes proportional to the product of two values, the input light amplitude and your control voltage. That's multiplication done by interference. Tile thousands of these modulators, guide many wavelengths through in parallel, and you can implement matrix multiplication, the core operation behind AI inference and training. Rather than flipping billions of transistors on and off, the math happens as photons glide through waveguides. No clock ticks, no hot switching, just light interfering with light. This is the promise of photonic computing. Companies like Lightmatter and IR Labs already ship pieces of this stack. Photonic interposers, optical I/O, co-packaged optics that stitch compute into light fabrics. Graphene strengthens the equation by offering broadband tunability and ultra-compact modulators, potentially pushing energy per operation down further and shrinking the footprint per lane. Picture a future AI data center where light doesn't only carry results, it creates them, en route. Where hundreds of wavelength channels, each a distinct color, perform math in parallel as they travel. Where the bus becomes the brain. So, what's the catch? Because revolutions always have one. Physics gave graphene superpowers. Manufacturing makes it earn them. Producing single-layer, wafer-scale graphene that's clean, continuous, and crack-free is brutally hard. Grain boundaries sneak in. Transfer steps introduce tears or residues. Even a tiny defect can detune an optical device or spike loss across an interconnect lane. Then there's the fab reality. The world's chip factories are optimized, religiously, for silicon. their chemistries, etches, resist stacks, and thermal budgets. You can't simply drop graphene into any layer and call it a day. You have to co-design where to place it, how to protect it, how to pattern it without damage, how to integrate it with metallization and passivation stacks. Economics is the third rail. If each wafer takes too long, if yields fall, if line equipment idles during exotic steps, costs balloon, and industry balks. That's why the near-term path looks hybrid. Copper doesn't vanish. Strategic layers get re-engineered. Optical I/O replaces some high-loss copper links. On-package or die-to-die photonics relieve the densest congestion. Inside the die, graphene may first appear as assist layers or in specialized modulators before it creeps into mainstream routing. The good news, once a few high-value deployments prove reliability and cost per bit, momentum compounds. Vendors lock design kits, toolmakers tune steps, materials supply chains stabilize. The graph curves bend, and suddenly a 10-year maybe becomes a 3-year must. And when materials shift, power shifts. For decades, semiconductor power has been a triangle. US designs, Taiwan manufactures, the world relies. But a material you can grow from carbon precursors on a variety of substrates, sometimes without the rare export-controlled tools, changes the map. Graphene doesn't erase ASML lithography or TSMC wizardry. EUV remains king for cutting transistors at the smallest nodes. But for the interconnect crisis, for optical fabrics and broadband modulators, graphene opens new doors. You can envision regional fabs focused on optical subsystems, die-to-die links, on-package waveguides, photonic tiles, stitched into larger systems that still use cutting-edge logic from traditional foundries. That's why Germany's Fab 1 matters beyond PR. It's a play for technological sovereignty, a way to own a critical layer of the post-silicon stack. Europe has world-class photonics talent, advanced machine builders, and precision chemical suppliers. Graphene turns those strengths into a focused bet. Make the highways of the next era. Other regions are watching. The Middle East is investing in advanced materials parks. East Asia already leads in 2D materials research. North America has the hyperscalers pressuring vendors for lower energy per bit, and they don't care whether it's copper or carbon, as long as the performance per watt jumps. So where do you place your chips? No pun intended? If you track value chains, the early signals are clear. Photonics enablers, from light matter and IR labs to larger players like Broadcom, Marvell, and Lumentum, are building the pipes and the endpoints. As those pipes widen, someone must supply the materials that shrink devices and lower energy per bit. That's where graphene companies, even if they're fewer, slot in. This isn't about replacing NVIDIA or rewriting CUDA. It's about feeding future GPUs with the bandwidth they demand and offloading certain math steps into light where it makes sense. In past transitions, from vacuum tubes to silicon, from planar to FinFET, from monolithic dies to chiplets, the outsized returns often accrued to the materials and infrastructure firms that made the shift possible. 2 filters guide the thesis. First, roadmap fit. Does the company's device reduce PJ bit and MM2I bit in a way hyperscalers will pay for? Second, manufacturing realism. Can they integrate with existing flows, or do they require a moonshot fab retool? Teams pursuing hybrid insertions, graphene where it earns rent, will move first. But the most important question isn't financial, it's elemental. From sand to carbon, from electrons to light, from east-anchored fabrication to a world where many regions own a piece of the stack. Not by magic, by materials. If this story illuminated your mind, share it. Subscribe to Quantum Silk Route. We map the hidden highways of technology shaping tomorrow's power. Because the next great leap in computing won't be built on silicon. It'll be written in light.